What's up everyone? GameDad here, coming at you guys with part 6 of my current PS2 collection. Now, let's just dive right in and check out what games there are. Red Faction was released by THQ in 2001 and is a fun FPS adventure kind of style game. And what was really nice about this game is just the overall weapon selection, the way the AI worked. It was just really intuitive and it made the game really fun, and it had kind of a Ghosts of Mars kind of feel to it. So I really enjoyed playing this game. It's just a shame that some of the later games in the franchise just could not hold up to the standard that this game set. Resident Evil Code Veronica X was released by Capcom in 2001, and honestly, I didn't really care for this Resident Evil game all that much. I mean, it had the typical stuff that you would expect out of a RE game, but it didn't really have the same kind of thrill or appeal that the main entry games had for me. I mean, it had a few different like quirky things that were kind of fun, but overall, I didn't really care for this game that much. Rumble Racing was released by EA in 2001, and I gotta say, I actually enjoyed this racing game. I mean, it was a little more cartoony and less realistic than other racing games that EA's released, but I did have a lot of fun, and it didn't really have a drifting mechanic per se, but it was really easy to control and really get into those different skids to help you navigate different corners and tight curves and stuff like that. Scalar was released by Global Star Software in 2004, and as you can tell from the cover, it kind of looks like it would be a Spyro ripoff, but the game controls a lot differently, in my opinion. I mean, it has the same kind of action mechanics that any 3D platformer would have, except this one, as you can see, it adds this cool grinding mechanic. So I thought that was kind of fun. That's kind of your quick way to get around, is to grind through the levels, and then you actually have like these big claws and stuff that you can use as attacks and defense. And I mean, overall, the game was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Here we have Shrek the Third, released by Activision in 2007, and while this has the same name as the movie, it's not really a scene-for-scene adaptation of it. I mean, I do appreciate that this game has a much more heightened kind of graphical presence than previous Shrek games, but this one, I mean, the combat, it's a little bit dry. You do have a couple of different techniques, but it's nothing crazy. And this one, instead of kind of, playing through the movie, it kind of adds its own twist on it, and I didn't really personally care for that. Silent Scope 3 was released by Konami in 2002, and this game operates pretty much exactly like all of the other Silent Scope games. You get your mission, you go out, and you just start sniping people. I will say that I really liked the indicator system in version 3, or in Silent Scope 3, compared to other games. It was a lot more intuitive to use and made it really easy to find your next target. I also liked the aiming reticle a lot more. The Simpsons Road Rage was released by EA in 2001, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed playing through this game. I mean, it's awesome because it's like Crazy Taxi meets cel-shaded Simpsons in a nice big 3D world. You drive around as Homer, and you're picking up different fares and stuff like that, and you have different speed challenges, and there is actually a story and some story elements to the game, but overall it's fun to just kind of drive around the world of The Simpsons and take different characters around and just kind of get there as quick as you can. The Sims was released by EA in 2000, and unfortunately with this game and the next one, I was unable to capture the footage because my PS2 was having a lot of trouble playing these games consistently. But for anyone that has ever heard of The Sims, this is the game that started it all. This is where people first learned in that 3D world how to develop their characters, build relationships, build homes, businesses, all kinds of stuff. And it was, I gotta say, a highly addicting game when this first came out. Now, here we have The Sims Bustin' Out, released by Maxis in 2003. And this one, it kind of just added a lot more of expansion capabilities to the game. It wasn't like a direct expansion for The Sims on the PS2, but it definitely had that kind of feel to it. So it added new things to do, it added new character models, new ways to interact with the game, and it just added another dimension to it. So that was kind of fun. Up next, we have Snoopy versus the Red Baron, released by Namco Bandai Games in 2006. And this game, what it reminds me of is playing something like Crimson Skies, but with Snoopy and a more comical feel to the animation style. But I gotta say, this game, it controls explicitly well, and it's actually a lot of fun to play. I thought it would be kind of gimmicky because it was a Snoopy game, but I actually really enjoyed playing this and found myself playing it for a lot longer than I originally intended to. Here is SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs, released by SCEI in 2002. And before Call of Duty became a household name, it was definitely SOCOM that took that. And I mean, it was such an iconic game when it came out, and it was so much fun to play. And it also added the capability of being able to play online through the Ethernet adapter that you could get on the PS2. And that just added such a huge dimension and allowed for online gameplay. Here we have SOCOM Combined Assault, released by SCEI in 2006. And this is a far greater upgrade when it comes to the way the game plays, when it comes to the overall lighting and effects in the game, to the character models, to the gameplay itself with how well the AI does playing the game. And I mean, this game, it was another SOCOM hit, and I really enjoyed playing it. Now, here is SOCOM 3, released by SCEI in 2005. And this one, it had solid graphics, solid gameplay, and it put you in kind of a different part of the world. The original SOCOM, it was kind of dark, very military factory style. SOCOM 2 was a lot more jungle oriented. And as you can see, this one is a lot more desert oriented. So it's fun to get those new environments whenever you're playing these military games. Here is Sonic Heroes, released by Sega in 2004. Now, this game, it took a pretty interesting approach because you had several teams of characters that you would play as. As you can see right here, I'm playing as Team Sonic, so that gives you Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails. And each one has a different ability, and you have to constantly switch between those abilities depending on what obstacle lies in front of you within that particular level. And each team has different abilities that they are either good with or weak against, and it's just up to you to figure out which one to use. Here is Spider-Man 2, released by Activision in 2004, and I gotta say, this is probably one of my all-time favorite PS2 games. And if you happen to tune in while I was live streaming Marvel Spider-Man on PS4, you would know that I referenced this game a lot because they took basically everything that was amazing about this game, put it into that one, and just built it out even more. And I mean, one of the mainstays that made this game so amazing was the web slinging. And I mean, you'll hear me talk a little bit more about this in my Spider-Man review that comes out this Friday. But I mean, this game, I loved it. Here is Spider-Man Web of Shadows, released by Treyarch in 2008. And while, I mean, I do like Spider-Man games, this one I didn't really care for all that much. I mean, overall, it was an okay game, and the animation style was kind of a fun twist on playing Spider-Man 2, which went for a lot more realism. But I didn't really care for this game that much. I mean, it was just okay in my opinion. Here is an awesome snowboarding game, and that is SSX, released by EA in 2000. And this game started what became just an amazing franchise. And this one, it had a little bit more realism to it. Obviously, it was kind of fantastical with some of the things that happened in the game and some ways that it controlled. But overall, it was just a really fun snowboarding game. And while I like Amped and stuff like that on Xbox, I liked this one because it wasn't taking it too serious. It was something you can just hit the slopes and have fun. Here is SSX3, released by EA in 2003, and this was just an amazing entry in the franchise. I mean, I would say that Tricky is probably my favorite, but this one, they added so much more depth to the environments and to what you could see off into the distance. They didn't really have that kind of game fog that a lot of games displaying massive distance had, and it was just fun. The controls felt a little sticky at times to me personally, but overall, I really had fun playing the game and love going back to it. Now, the last game for this video is Starsky and Hutch, released by Empire Interactive in 2003. And as you can tell from this kind of opening cutscene here, it is a very cartoony looking game. And it doesn't build on the remake of Starsky and Hutch. This is more of the original Starsky and Hutch. And I mean, it's fun, but the controls are pretty awkward. And I mean, overall, it seemed more gimmicky than video game. So there you have it, everybody. That is everything in part 6 of my current PS2 collection. Now, if you missed any of the previous parts, or maybe you missed last week's episode, go ahead and check out that card above. And then also let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of this video? What do you think of the games in my PS2 collection so far? And while you're there, please also be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that notification bell so you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.